Hey everybody, it's James Freeman. So who remembers seeing the body cam footage last year from when Michael Davis shot and killed 17-year-old Hunter Britton on a traffic stop? Nobody? No, that's right, nobody remembers that footage because it doesn't exist, because the deputy didn't turn on his camera before he killed the teenager. Or did he? But the footage was disappeared because it would cause him to be convicted of murder. The only thing we know for sure is that we'll never know for sure what happened that night. Police across the US have been adopting the use of body-worn cameras more and more over the past decade. And time again, we can see cops in videos telling people that they don't need to record the police because everything they do is recorded on their own body-worn camera. But people like myself have been telling others for years that an officer's body camera is not for you. It's under their control, to be turned on and off at their discretion, and to be muted when they are saying things that would get them fired or criminally charged. Even when they decide to turn on the camera, the public obtaining that footage is not always very easy. It's often blocked completely, or arrives incomplete or with important incriminating parts redacted. I cannot stress enough that an officer's body camera is not for you. I receive multiple emails every day of people telling me their personal story of police misconduct and abuse. The first thing I always ask is, where can I find the recording of the interaction? More than 90% of the time, people tell me that they did not record it, and that the officer either didn't have a body camera, didn't turn it on, or that they wouldn't release the body cam footage. Well, then it's his word against yours, and the truth is that most of society still believes that police can do no wrong. It is typically the policy of every police department that officers are to turn on their body camera before any interaction with the public actually begins. It is not their policy to turn on their camera after something goes wrong, it's their policy to have the camera on the whole time. It's my opinion that every citizen should adopt this same policy for themselves. Everyone I know has a smartphone on them. That camera should be turned on as soon as an officer starts approaching or their lights are turned on. Now there's a reason I spent 2 minutes harping on the importance of recording the police. I say it until I'm blue in the face, but still people don't do it. And in today's story, I believe that video evidence of the events that occurred could have convicted a killer cop of murder. Instead, it's likely that he'll end up back out on the streets as a cop again. It was early morning, June 23rd, and Hunter Britton was at his house fixing his truck. He took the vehicle for a test drive down Highway 89 and was pulled over when his truck began to smoke. He had a friend in the passenger seat that said that after he pulled over, he couldn't get the truck into park. So he jumped out to grab a coolant jug from the bed that he uses as a wheel chock to keep the truck from rolling away. As he reached into the bed of his truck, Officer Davis with the Lone Oak Sheriff's Department shot and killed Hunter. The cop claims that he gave commands for Hunter to stop, but his passenger says he never heard the cop say anything, just heard gunshots. Conveniently, Deputy Davis had forgotten to turn on his body camera before riddling the 17-year-old with bullets. I think it would be safe to say that Hunter and his friend had probably been taught to respect the police, and had probably not been taught that the police have been trained to be scared to death of everything that moves, which makes them extremely dangerous to everyone around them. I can only assume that Hunter probably felt completely safe around the cop, and figured the stop was no big deal. Had Hunter been taught the truth, that the police have declared war on the people, and that every encounter could be your last, he may have thought twice about his innocent act of jumping out to stabilize his truck. He may have treated the encounter the way that cops want us to treat encounters, more like an armed robbery, holding perfectly still, not making any sudden movements, and calmly obeying every single order. Unfortunately, Hunter probably believed that cops protected and served, and did not properly fear the animal that had stopped him. The deputy was fired from the department, but he was fired for failing to turn on his body camera, not for murdering Hunter. On Friday, March 18, 2022, the former Arkansas deputy was acquitted of manslaughter, but found guilty on a lesser misdemeanor charge of negligent homicide and sentenced to 1 year in jail. I have absolutely no idea how someone can intentionally pull out a gun, intentionally point it at someone, intentionally squeeze the trigger, killing that person, and not be found guilty of intentionally killing that person. What did Deputy Davis think the bullets would do to Hunter? Hunter's grandmother is upset that the deputy was not convicted of a felony because the lesser misdemeanor charge means that he can still be a police officer when he gets out of jail, which means that he can do this again. Do you think this was enough for Hunter's friends and family to start recording every single police interaction that they have? What can recording hurt? If nothing goes wrong, you can either post the footage publicly praising the police for not shooting someone on that particular stop, or you can just delete the footage. But when something does go wrong, you can't go back in time and turn on that camera. Now for those listening, what will it take for you to make sure that you turn on a camera and record any and every police interaction? Will it take you or a close family member getting their rights violated? Will it take someone close to you being brutally beaten by police? Will it take someone you know being murdered? I'd be willing to bet that Hunter's family never in a million years would have guessed that their boy would be gunned down and murdered by police on an old country road that morning.